my people. I think it is time for some live coding. Let me pull up all my tools here, switch context, and we can get got. Okay, sorry I'm a couple minutes running behind here today. There I am. I'm this one? Yeah, this one. Okay. Hello. Sorry I'm a couple minutes behind today. I was away last week, did not get to live code, and now you'll note that I'm no longer away and I'm back in my his house. And so I'm back live coding. My name is Mike Bifulco. I'm technical director for the Gymnasium.com. It's an internet website that looks a lot like this. You should check it out. We give away free, self-paced, video-based online courses on design, development, tools, technologies, tactics, techniques related to being a creative person who writes code and builds things and designs things in the world today. We've got some really killer courses, and you're always welcome to check them out. Your feedback is always welcome. We're always here to hear it. I love what we do because we hire instructors who teach what they do for a living, which is not always the case from other courses that you might find in various places online and otherwise. So I am going to pick up where we were a couple weeks ago with a few changes. I'm actually, we might get into some chores here on the horn today. I'm in the middle of a few things. Let me pull this onto the screen here with our rewrite of the Gymnasium's front end. I'm closing some pull requests from our dependency updater, which is Dependabot, of course. We're trying to keep things up to date. And let's see, sort of nested options. Yeah, cool. So let me merge one more pull request here, and then we can get back to work. I know there's a bunch of other ones in flight. All these pull requests come from Dependabot, which I think we set up on stream maybe a month ago now. They are package updates for the dependencies for the project. There's maybe one more I can nail here. Dependabot is chasing me down and going to rebase all these pull requests as I get to them. But for minor changes like this, I am confident that we can merge them without running the full test suite on the rebased branch if it passed before. So we're going to get this guy in. We're going to delete that branch, and I think I'll be down to two updates. One update and one broken pull request of my own from a few days ago, which we may pull down, rebase, and rebuild. So let's try doing that. So this is feature remove change log. I'll show you what I was doing here. It was a very simple feature. I've got this running in the background. I'm going to kill it, and I'm going to do a yarn to install all the dependencies for this. We're going to do something which I hope is very clever. We'll make sure there are no changes. Yeah, there aren't any currently. I'm going to do git status just to double check that. Your branch is up to date. I'm going to do git merge origin master. Origin, yeah, master. Let me make sure it's the master branch that we're using here. Yeah, cool. So no other branches. Git merge origin master will pull the remote tracking branch origin master into the remove changelog feature, which is great. We'll run yarn again, which will reinstall a bunch of dependencies, including all of the updates with which we have just included into the project. Let me double check that I'm actually streaming. Looks like it. Okay, sometimes I forget a step or two. There's a lot of steps to get this whole thing set up every week. And sometimes I am away for a week and I forget everything, but I think we're here. I should zoom in on this so you can see it. Maybe make it a little bigger. Let's do yarn start, which will bring up my environment. Lovely. Okay, now if I open in the browser, here we have our site. The difference is we've got this shiny footer, and there used to be a changelog here, I believe, which is now no longer in place, which we can get rid of. That's no good. I just saw this on my other monitor that there's a responsive break here, which we need to fix. Ooh, and some warnings. Course number of type strings applied to featured course expected number. So let's fix that. Featured course. We'll do prop types dot one of type. And number string. And if I was using TypeScript, that would be a lot easier, but I'm not, so it isn't. And of course, Prettier went and threw that on one line for me. And now when we refresh this, that warning should go away. And it did, so let's fix that responsive bug by putting this into responsive mode and shrink-a-dinking it down to a wholly too small size. Well, let's put this down to iPad size, let's say. And take a look at how these sizes are determined, because that looks a little funny. Max width 25%. Okay, so that maybe should be using something like max width 33%, 50%. But we're going to start by addressing the image, which should have a class on it. Where is the image? This is a helper class from Bootstrap, which didn't appear to do anything. Okay. Bootstrap for image responsive. Image fluid. They changed its name on me. Did that do anything? Oh yeah, look at that. Now it's working. Okay. That's a good thing to remember. We will do this as two separate commits. Responsive image fix, and then secondarily prop type warning fix. We'll commit this, we'll push it up to the repo, and what that's going to do is kick off another build for me, which should clear this broken status, provided this build actually builds. So that's going to go and do its thing. In the background, we can go and take a look at this rebased pull request. Ooh, there's a lot going on with Gatsby. They've had some cool releases in the past week. We should go look at their changelog, because there's been some cool features added, and actually I don't know if we'll be able to take advantage of some of them for Gymnasium, but it might be really nice to. So click on the changelog, and then the link in here to the changelog. And we can see what was added. So I'm on version 2.10.5. In 2.11, they added a bug fix and a feature for Babel loader for all dependencies. That's cool. We should read about that. That's a TypeScript definition, resource loading, error codes, version bump, definition for some actions. Custom field extensions. Let's see. Gatsby dependency util. Duplicated fragment definitions and some dependencies. Okay. Oh, theme stuff. So this is the big stuff that came in 2.13, maybe? Okay. Well, let's take a look at this Babel loader thing. Ooh, hey, that worked. This just worked. Okay. Well, we're going to fire this away, but I still want to look at some of the differences that are here. Before we determine what was in there. So, since that build passed, I'm comfortable letting it fly. I would be more... take my time a little more with this if this was already in production, but it's not, so we've got a bit of luxury here. So let's read about that change with Babel loader. Babel loader? It's Babel. I always say Babel. I ran Gatsby through Babel loader to make sure it can add its polyfills. Oh yeah, okay. So this speeds up a lot of caching stuff. I remember reading about this. This is great. Yeah, okay, cool. So this is only really benefit for us. Okay, let us take a look at the difference here. So I've got, well, I just closed that PR. We can take a look at this one, which is building, and hopefully close this out and then start a fresh branch with all of the above. So we're going to let that build. Boy, yeah. I'm going to let this do its thing, and then we'll start with a fresh branch, and we'll get in on some of the work we were thinking about doing. Should only take a little bit of time here. I think builds are 4 or 5 minutes maybe total, and that's because I have this storybook thing. I'm going to disable storybook because we aren't using it, and I haven't taken the time to enable the features that we need. Unfortunately, I was really excited to use storybook at first, but it's not necessary with Gatsby. I don't think so, at least. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, let this thing do its build magic. Yeah, it takes about 5 minutes right now, and I think some of that is because when we do these package updates, it clears caches and stuff like that. But also, it's doing a storybook and a Gatsby build. So let's create a new branch. Feature remove storybook. To be honest, I don't really want to do that. I would rather get storybook working. I love the idea of it in our project here. Yeah, okay, let's let it slide for now. Oh, that's funny. Somewhere in my project. Name Gymnasium front end. Lovely. I wonder if there's an orange emoji we can stick in there. Oh, there's loads of them. How about an orange book? Oh, nope. Name has to be within that regular expression confine. All right, how's this build coming along? We are all good. So let's merge that with my administrator privileges. We'll confirm a merge. That'll fire away another build. I can delete this branch and start a new one locally. So we're going to do a new branch from master. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do right now. Maybe we can take a look at some of the responsive stuff going on here, because that's not great. Let's do that. Let's mess with some responsiveness. Responsiveness, though. We'll stash our changes and apply them. Give the project a proper name. Oop, did it? Okay, we should run yarn because I've got some new dependencies yet, I believe. Yep. Okay, yarn start. We'll run my develop environment for Gatsby. And now we can start fussing around. So let's look at those responsive bugs. What I would like to see is these featured courses not get all gross. Let me put this at 100% so you can see what's going on. On smaller brow, oh boy, didn't we just fix that? Didn't we just fix both of these? What's happening here? Oh, I didn't fetch those changes or pull them in. Ugh. Okay, let's install dependencies again. Alright. That responsive fix should be there, but the parent responsive fix that we're interested in is not there. That being that if we go to our featured courses container, right now it is rendering a section with a UL with a featured course in it. And those are list items with a bunch of special stuff going on, including this. Oops. Let's open this. So that in itself is a vast oversimplification of what has to happen to make this thing a broken up row column. Let's see if I have any rules that are specific to... No, actually I did a decently good job of naming these things. Okay, let's close that. Let's open this and see if any of its rules are specific to list items. That one is, but it's only to create a grid. So, all that to say, I think that the proper treatment for this is with rows and columns using the old bootstrap technique. So we're going to do import call and actually the featured course probably shouldn't do it. We should do them up here. Here's what I'm thinking. We have column row here. We're going to make this a row, and we're going to make that a slash row, and this is going to be a call and a slash call. And in the featured course, we're just going to do like this. Get rid of those and put in a class here. And now, each challenge should have a key prop. We got to do that. Give this a better name. There we go. And so now we render them as you would expect, and we're going to do xs equals 6. What have I done? Oh, I need to give it another rule. MD equals 4, LG equals 3. Let's try that. Okay, we're going to go into responsive mode. I've done something wrong here. I'm fairly certain, because what in the heck is happening? All right. Call 6. Ah. Okay, so let's zoom in on this. I hate that it zooms out every time. And take a look at what the responsiveness now looks like for this. We'll do it at 75% as I shrink the width of the page from 1800 pixels wide right now down to 1,000 or so. It'll go from a quarter to a third. And that's not doing anything I expect it to do. Well... Okay. Wait. You know what? Let's simulate having a few of these here by doing this. I'm looking for a big jump in size here, and they don't seem to be changing. Unless the math is exactly perfect that they would stay the same width. That flex 33.33%. I wonder if I have like a max width set on this. No, it doesn't look like it. Nothing I said, at least. Okay, well, I'm confused. It's responsiving. I don't need this. Okay, well, I'm confused, but I'm gonna call that a fix, not my ideal fix, because I don't really understand why it's not resizing correctly, but we'll commit that. And let's look elsewhere for other offenses. Perhaps the footer. How's the footer doing? Oh no. Oh no. Each tile in the list should have a unique key prop. Oh, encountered, right, they do have the same key because they're the same course. That may be why this is behaving funky. That's not great. You guys. Ugh. What did I do here? So I don't like the way these... Oh, actually that's kind of cool. I didn't expect it to resize like that, but that's nice. Okay, let's look at the course about page here. What? I'm sorry. Oh, maybe it's this page I was thinking of. That's not great. Okay, we're going to fix this layout next. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to grab a glass of water. And I'm back. Back. Ooh, my mouse isn't working. Ooh, there we go. Nice. Okay. So, where were we? We're going to fix this layout. what we need to look at is, oh, come on, DevTools. In this layout, there's a couple things that we could do better. Possibly in the parent layout at smaller sizes, we should be getting rid of this centering altogether. And this container should become a container fluid. But also, this width should be, or this column should fall down to the bottom at certain sizes. Boy, I tell you what, I actually don't hate that full width view either. But we're not here to make those sorts of foundational changes right now. We're going to try looking at the layout for the course about page, course info page, I forget what I called that, components, pages, courses, full courses, index.js, courses page. All right. Call MD3, we're going to do XS equals 12. And what that should give me is the responsive fix that I'm looking for here. So at small sizes, kabam, that column has fallen to the bottom. Nice. And we still need to widen out the, how you say, the main content by making these containers smarter. So let's look at React Bootstrap and the grid system. Nope, it's under layout, grid system, we have container, all right, here's what I'm going to do is we get a couple of choices here. I think the right thing to do is to wrap this, to create a standard layout for all of the normal content pages, and on sufficiently small ones to toggle on this fluid. And we will do that by looking up the React responsive library. Yeah, I think this might be the approach to take. So I'll show you what I think we need to do. We've got this layout, which is the main layout for the site, with a header and a footer and a main. What we should do in here is make some decisions. So I'm going to put an optional prop into this layout. It's going to be something like full width. And here we're going to say full width. So if it's set to full width, we want to render this. And if not, we're going to render, oh, come on. We're going to be good. If not, we're going to render main and then container children main, like that. Okay, so what this is saying is if we supply a full width argument to this, it means we're essentially going to ignore this container, and otherwise the whole page content will be in a container. So there's going to be some changes coming here, but we don't have a container reference in here. This will very likely make a lot of this stuff look funky, even at normal size here. Ooh. That's okay, we can work with that. So what else does that mean? That means for the home page, we will make that a full width. So on index, source/index.js, this is our normal. So we're going to take a little bit of this layout stuff out of here. Oops. Shouldn't affect the home page at the moment. So by default, we render this page with a container fluid for the main content area. I'm not quite sure why this has a top padding of some sort somewhere. It's a margin. This maybe should be padding. We can work on that. Okay, so now when I go to a page like this, which isn't the home page, which has a bunch of wacky rules of its own, that should look okay. But also when I go to all courses, we need to fix this now. So let me be clear with what I'm trying to do here. I want the layout to contain the logic to switch the size of this container. So we can simplify this quite a bit. So that's the same thing that we just had. This will be fluid if full width is set to true. We'll give that a default of false just to be explicit. Where we'll define that. And the other thing we're going to do here is add the responsive logic in. So React responsive hook. Let's see. I'm sure there's something like this that exists. Bulma. People love Bulma. I've never used it. Hmm. Yeah, okay. So what I was going to do was implement my own hook here to respond to changes in page size. But I think for the sake of simplicity and so that I don't have to maintain it, we're just going to use a library for it. This looks like it's well enough maintained. Yeah, and this is a hook anyway. Boy. This feature is available on the 8.0 beta branch and will go stable very soon. Okay. Let's look at, there's no project for it. Let's look at the issues. Well, let's try it. Right? What's the worst that can happen? I'm gonna commit my current changes. Make sure there's no errors yet. More responsive fixes. We'll commit that. We're gonna do yarn add React responsive at 8.0.0-beta 1. Is there not a beta branch? Branches, let's see. I'm very confused. The repo doesn't seem to be up to date with these distances. Okay, let's see what npm says. Ooh. Okay, we're going to have to change our node version here. Oh, I don't have an engine specified. That's funny. Switching my node version here. Ugh, node. Use 8.16. Well, fine. I would like to see the versions of 8 that are available. 8.16.0. Okay, we've done that. Let's switch. And let's do a yarn here. Cool, and we got rid of that warning. All right. Yarn start, we've now added that package. Oh, this won't work. Okay, now we're going to start using that responsive package that we just added in the layout here. So, how do we do that? Well, we can look at the documentation. I think it'll be relatively easy. In the repo here, we're going to go to the example with hooks. And we'll put this in here. We're going to say return, and we're going to say const is small viewport equals use media query. And then in here we're going to do query min width, and we'll have to figure out what that is. We'll start with 900 pixels because what do I know? So this will be a fluid container if it's full width, meaning we've requested a full width layout. So maybe is full width layout or is small viewport. That should do me. And so I can change this and that and this and that, and on my index do layout is full width layout. We should be able to come back here and see some of these things change. Let's go back to the home page. That's working. Should have a container fluid wrapping the body if I select correctly. Yes, good. And I should be able to go to all courses and lose that container essentially until I shrink this. Ah, I had that backwards. Okay. In my layout, we're going to say is full width layout or is small. Ah, I had that backwards. So when this gets below 900 pixels, this should snap to being full width. It did. That's really hard to show. But that's also the wrong size. Okay, so that's good. We're on the right track now. I'll use the responsive tools to show this off. 961. Okay, that's a start. So now we've got to get rid of all these classes container. I was putting layout logic into the individual pages, which is not great. So it's these two adjacent containers that need to go away. Save that and close this, bring this over here so that I unconfuse myself one day. Okay, so that's having the effect I want it to, which is nice. Kind of. But you can see my background color is now broken. We're not yet at responsive nirvana here. And perhaps it's because this should be a prop passed to the layout. Let's try that. Yeah, I'm going to copy this. Oh my god, get rid of this rule. That was the rule being applied to here. We're going to give the layout a BG color. And for the container, we're going to apply that color. So for this index, that's a little confusing, but we'll see if it works. I don't know if it will. What we're going to do is color the main here, I believe. This is in the courses page. We should be able to see this. So that has a BG color set. It should then be passed to the layout, which should get a BG color. Let's see. And apparently this is not being applied. That's what I would say is happening here. Okay. I don't know why that's not being passed through right now. Tell you what. I'm sure gets it. Maybe I've got this syntax wrong. Okay, for some reason, style isn't being passed through. That feels like a catch. So, if this doesn't work, we'll go to a slightly different approach. Why is that gray? All right, let's try something else here. Maybe we don't want the BG color in the layout itself. We'll give this a content wrapper class. Do like that, and then here where we do that, so I've now said pass this class name in. There we go, much better. So we can just use a class for the content wrapper. All right, so we should give that a string prop type. And it shouldn't be a problem here when it's null. Let's make sure. Yeah, because there's nothing there, it pushes nothing into that class. Okay, great. So when we want to color the background of this main container, we will on occasion, we can pass it in a class name with this content wrapper class. So, and actually the better way to do this might be this. And so now we can be a little more organized here if we had more than one class, for example. So if I go to view all courses, it should still be gray. Yikes. What did I do? Oh. Classes.content wrapper. Lovely. Yeah, cool. So we now have a pattern by which we can pass classes into an upper class, a parent class, from a lower one, essentially into this layout, by doing featured course section, renders a layout. I mean, not this, sorry. This page, the courses page, renders a layout with the content wrapper class set to classes.pageContainer, which has this background color, which is what gets rendered here. So if I changed this to, let me make this bigger, blue, now it's blue and really gross. If I change it back, awesome, right? So, okay, so what have we just accomplished? So we revamped a lot of the way these pages get rendered so that we can use a single layout that shrinks itself down to take up available page real estate. And I almost feel like we did it at exactly the right screen size here too. So 992 pixels, we get this little bit of margin on the side. That's okay. And then when we go down to small sizes, you know what? We're going to change that once more to 992. Yeah, nice. I like that. That's really nice. Okay. That is a really good responsive change compared to what we had before. It now means all the responsive magic is within the layout, which is great, which means all of the other pages that use the layout, there's probably a few right now. The 404 page, for example, that's fine. The blog pages no longer need a container in them, so we can get rid of that because there's already a container for free, so we don't need that. Don't need that. Full courses also doesn't need a container. We're simplifying things. That feels good. No container in there. This is the source pages index page. This is okay. This is as designed. Yep, that's good. That's good. We'll leave those. Blog post page does not need a container any longer. And the course about page does not need a container any longer. Next week, when we pick this up, we'll work on this course about page because there's a really nice rich layout there that needs to be yeah, great. Okay. So I'm going to let this thing go here. I'm going to commit this. We'll open a pull request. We'll do all that goodness. We're going to say responsive Give responsive duty to layout. And add content wrapper class to layout component for setting BG color. Great. Remove extra containers from pages, etc. And put layout in charge of deciding how wide page content is. Okay, I'm glad we got to that before I got too deep into building out pages, because that can be a real chore to do. I'm going to push this. I'm going to open a pull request. I did push it. I'm now going to open a pull request. And after that, I'm going to call it a day. Responsive fixes across the site. Assign myself, call it enhancement. This stuff in here. Create the pull request. And then basically once this all checks itself off, I'm going to merge it, and then we've got a good starting point to keep going from for whatever's next. At this point, that's it for me for the day. I'm going to call it quits here. I will be back next week, of course, doing more live streaming. In the meantime, wow, my contact lenses are killing me. Sorry. In the meantime, if you want to get at me, I'm on Twitter at Irreverent Mike. You can also find me on Gymnasium.com, create an account, take a course, let us know what you think. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Thank you so much for hanging out. It's always a pleasure. I hope you learned something, because I always do. Everyone, have a good week. I'll see you next week.